We're back out here at the little lake. We're about to hop on the little boat, and we're asking the question, is the color green pumpkin overrated? Well, no, but kinda sorta yeah. Stick around, I'll answer that question. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And we all know that anglers love the colors of their soft plastics. They've been using the same color for years and they don't feel like changing now. And you find some of the greatest arguments ever across the internet having to do with plastic bait color. But shouldn't we rethink it just a little bit? I mean, good old green pumpkin. Everybody uses it. You want that natural presentation? Why, throw it in clear water. Everybody knows this. This is what we've all been told. When the water's clear and the bass are looking for that natural presentation, green pumpkin's the color for you. But what if there's more to it than that? What if there's much more to it than that? What if green pumpkin wasn't always the best color to throw? What if, under certain situations, like clear water on sunny days, that green pumpkin is actually costing you bites? We're going to take a look at exactly that, and we're going to show you some remedies and how to know when this color here may not be the best color you should be throwing. And here's a spoiler alert. It's a lot more often than you think it is. So we're going to head out on the water. We're going to take some green pumpkin baits, and we're going to take some baits that are June bug and more unnatural colors, and we're going to throw them in clear water. And I'm going to show you something surprising that may just open your eyes. So let's go. Let me turn around, and we're fishing a dark purple colored wacky rig in clear water. And we are doing this to prove a point. And that point being that you can fish a dark colored wacky rig in clear water. Green pumpkin is overrated a lot of times in clear water. A lot of times you want to fish believe it or not, actually you want to fish darker colors in clear water, especially when that water's got a lot of vegetation in it, because that green pumpkin will just disappear. That green pumpkin will just vanish inside those all that vegetation. And the bass won't be able to see it. They won't be able to key in on it. So believe me, a lot of times, believe it or not, you actually need a darker color when you're fishing clear water, especially on a cloudy day. If you've got some clouds, especially you need to be going towards a darker color. I know that's counterintuitive to what everybody says, right? I mean, everybody says, you know, on super clear water, we want a natural color. We want those green pumpkins and we want those watermelon red flakes. And it's a good color. I mean, they've caught a lot of fish. Green pumpkin and watermelon red. Let me get that camera up just a little bit. Green pumpkin and watermelon red have certainly caught their fair share of fish, hadn't they? There we go. Come here, little dude. He's a little bitty guy. He's a little bitty dink, but I mean, he went after it. He went after it good. All right. Another little hybrid. Let go of my thumb. Another little, I don't know, quarter pounder. But he went after that dark little. He went after that dark wacky worm. I mean, I've got it purple. It's purple, and this water is really clear, right? So as you can see, situation is everything. A clear water reservoir with a hard bottom, that's good time for green pumpkin. However, if you have a lot of vegetation, hydrilla, milfoil, eelgrass, pondweed, or whatever, green pumpkin is not always going to be your first choice, or it shouldn't be at least, because those baits can get lost in the weed. They can get lost in the vegetation, and it's hard for the bass to see them, especially when your presentation doesn't involve a lot of noise, like a weightless Senko, in which case the bass doesn't even notice that your bait is even there, other than the plant shaking just a little bit. So in those cases, you really want to consider throwing a darker profile. It doesn't have to be something orange like chartreuse, or it doesn't have to be something wild like bubblegum, but something darker. I usually throw Junebug. I throw more Junebug and more black blueflake than I do green pumpkin by a mile. And I fish clear waters, but they're heavily vegetated and they do have a green stain. And green pumpkin baits, they just don't show up very well. It's hard for the bass to see them, and a lot of times I'm ending up missing bites because the bass just don't pay attention. Whenever I go with something that's a lot darker, even black, but most of the time I'll use Junebug or black and blue flake. And I notice that when I'm using those baits, I get bit a lot more. I get a lot more looks, and I get a lot more attention from those bass, which is the whole reason that we're out there. You have to think about underwater. What is it the bass are actually seeing? That brush pile is casting shadow. All that vegetation is casting shadow. And even though it might be a bright sunny day, there's a lot of shadow underneath the water surface that the bass are hiding in. And if it's green on green, a lot of times your bait is just going to get lost in the mix and the bass don't even know it's there. So as you can see, using Junebug in a lot of those situations where it's just clear weather and the water's clear, it might seem odd. But that's when I have the most success. Get that grass off of there. Get a little bit of grass, but nothing major. It actually does really good coming through the slop. It does really good coming through the slop. There we are. Come on, buddy. Stay down. Ooh, that's pretty good. Get up here. I want to ski you in so you can't. Boy, he's a pretty good fighter. That's a pretty good fight. Oh, he's a good fish. Wow. That is a really good fish. That's a spot. That's not a largie, that is a spot. You see the dorsal fin? How it doesn't go up, how it doesn't go really high, it's kind of flat and low. You see how the jaw goes just behind the eye, even with it. And it's got a lighter color. This is a spot. And then even a lot of times I'll go outside the box and throw something like an electric blue. Something that's very vibrant under the water, especially if I'm fishing shade lines or if it's a cloudy day. It doesn't have to be something really loud, but it does have to be something that the bass will notice and get their attention. You want to have something that the bass will be attracted to, something that will stick out, but something that still looks like it could be a potential meal for those bass, especially if they're feeling lethargic and they just want something easy to snack on. In which case, well, then you probably even want to use a bigger presentation, but that's for another video. However, we need to break the conditioning of green pumpkin and watermelon red. You see bluebird skies and gin clear water, and the first thing you do is tie on a green pumpkin Senko. And then you proceed not to get any bites. And you think to yourself, well, the fish just might not be biting today. When in actuality, if you went with a darker color, something that stood out a little bit more, especially under the surface where there's actually a lot more shade and shadow than you think is happening, especially in a lake that has a lot of vegetation in it, well, you could probably end up doing yourself some favors and getting a lot more bites in the process. So there you have it. Green pumpkin is a great color. No doubt about it. It has caught a lot of fish, and I don't think anybody's going to debate that. Natural hues in general. Green pumpkin cotton candy, green pumpkin magic, and all the green pumpkin variations, along with watermelon, watermelon red, watermelon flake, and all the variations of that color. Natural colors get bit. Nobody's contesting this. However, there is a time and a place to not throw them, and that's a lot more often than anglers realize. So, as with anything else, check the conditions, understand bass behavior, and realize what your bait may look like to the bass underwater. You'll just be doing yourself a great favor and end up putting more bass in the boat. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.